we have logic apps and we have functions, and both can be used to solve almost the same problems. And there is like low code and there is more code in each of them. But what is the correct way and what scenario to use them? Which scenario is the right scenario to use which of them?
Yeah. Okay.
When to use what?
Good question, and I'm gonna answer in a sneaky way or a shady way. Like the question is, why only limited this question to only logic apps, functions? There are a lot of other way to do integration. Like you could do, if you just only say stick of technology, you can use Azure Container Apps. You can go on and all the way and mainly you could also say, what about visual workflow versus code workflow? Like last year, I think around 2023, Dapr workflow was introduced. Why could I use Dapr workflow as engine and using Logic Apps adapter or connectors as to do integration? So I believe that integration can be done in really a lot of different ways. So enterprise application integration most of the time is done using logic apps for companies where visual workflows work. So at the end of the day, let me use this very business sentence. We have to bring value to our customer, right? So I don't care about the tool, just like whatever tool fits the customer need, whatever tool at the end of the day deliver the value. So when you look like function and logic apps, most of the time function when it's used with logic app is to externalize, business logic and all of these kind of things, because you want to have more control. One gives you more control than the other, but also Azure Function. I mean, I always say to people, there are two reasons to choose for for Azure Function. One is the serverless scale model, and the second one, or maybe the first one, is the framework, the binding framework that that Azure Function brings to you. But you can achieve the same with Azure Container Apps if you prefer containerized environment and containerized technology. So again, it's there are a lot of ways to do the same things. The added value of logic apps are, according to me, the number of connectors first, and the second things, all the monitoring that comes out of the box from this workflow engine. So if you just jump, to give you an example of what I was saying, with the upper workflow, and then it's a far west over there. So there is no user interface to manage this kind of workflow, or not yet, or maybe it's there since yesterday and I'm not aware. So sorry, everyone, if it is the case, but
Yes, it's the maintainability here is also, and the scalability, because if you want to add more functions or take away something, the scalability in the logic app, I think, is it's more flexible, because you can do way more things and change a lot of small components. And for the function, you will need to go in more deeper, I think, to change one small thing. And the scalability here going to be an issue, in my opinion.
But and if we just dig a bit deeper in this question, I mean, I want to elaborate a bit about who is responsible for actually making the decision. I mean, we have the business, and then we might have an enterprise architect, and then we have solution architect, and then we have developers. I mean, in what level should the decision be made?
It all depends in which environment you are. If you are playing in an environment where already some technology decision has been standardized, you have to adhere to the standards that you find. If you are in a green field, or let's say where you have full freedom, over there, what I always say, that we have to stick to the key principle, whatever are the key principles. So when you design a solution, you identify whatever principle makes sense for the customer. If the principle are scalability, some unit of deployment, unit of scale, or what else, or security or isolation. So whatever things make sense for the customer, those should be the driving factor for your decision. So I would say that normally which technology to be used belongs to the, let's say, solution architect. Normally is not the enterprise architect, except, as I was saying, if some technology stack is enforced to you by whatever security decision that the company took, security or other kind of factor decision that has been taken by the enterprise.
Yeah, that's where innovation needs to take also, because you get requests and then you need to deal with what you get and make the best out of situation, business process, and all the maybe budget you have. You cannot spend this much amount of money to scale. There is a lot of things here.
And always like as you were talking about the freedom also here, if you have a greenfield, but also the freedom of not closing down how to say a creative mind. I mean, to close them down to a specific technology. Sometimes you need to do it, but it can also be it can be dangerous, but also it can also be dangerous with too much freedom in this question.